I'm going to use this club because I don't want to hit it 100 yards. Because I'm just off the fairway. I got a tree in front of me, so I can't go to the hole. And I don't want to go to that red pole, because if I go to that red pole, I'm in the same position on the other side of the fairway. But I got brush here and everything. And I'm like, well, crap. You know, how am I going to get it? Well, it's right about that high. So what do? I get up here, and I said, you know, you'll notice it's pretty normal, right?
Yeah.
And so I say, well, I don't want any loft. So when I hit, I'm going to point, in my mind, the face to the ground. Okay. Now I say, well, I got to get up over this little mound, say the front of a bunker. And I got kind of the same shot, but I don't have to loft it way up in the air. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it pretty normal. Ah, that was terrible. We'll have to edit that one out. Right? That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Then I say, you know what? I got a kind of little window here I'd like to hit through. I don't want to throw it up too hard. I don't want to hit it too hard, because I still want, that's the middle of my fairway, right? So I'm still trying to get in the middle of my fairway. So what am I going to do? Well, I want more loft with this particular club. I just give it a little more loft. And I hit it just about as far. So don't treat it like we're building a skyscraper. You know, a shed will do, right? So that's all I got to care about, is this and the energy provided. The higher it goes, the more energy I can provide without being too far. And the lower it goes, the less energy I can allow myself, because if I get after it, I'm going to be in the same position on the other side of the fairway. And bad shots, as I demonstrated, can occur at any time to anyone. Okay. All right, with that, and the club gets progressively longer, then my hands are going progressively out. Okay. Or if I'm on a side hill, right? So if I do it with a driver as opposed to the iron, then that same check would not apply. But there is a basic check that will. So if I go like this, and then I go, right? I've done all the same stuff. Now I can clap hands.
Oh, after you're in the setup.
Right?
Okay.
Because if I were to do this, now see how the angles have to change? Now I'm someplace else.
Okay. After your feet are set, then you're checking that clap.
I go here, get there. I go through all the same steps so that I get the same relationship. Because if I maintain this relationship, whatever it happens to be, and now I'm standing upright and I bend over.
Gotcha.
That's the idea.
Maintaining that your 104.
Because then what happens is because the club is going to move around the same point with the same muscle. We use the same muscles at the same intensity in the same sequence. There's no notable variation required. Whereas if I've got this with one club and this with another club and this with another club, then that initial angle of movement is going to activate muscles differently. It's just like if you're doing a chest press, you do it like this, this, and this. You're using the entire pec muscle, but the emphasis changes. Your perception of the emphasis changes. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. You know, the idea is why is I'm telling you to create this angle and create this amount of slack in the system and all like that if I'm going to come back here, right? So we create centripetal force in the swing, which means, we talked about it 100 miles an hour, it's 89 pounds. So if I go ahead and hold your club kind of like this at an angle. Yeah. So now I start applying force when I swing the club. Now I've got this angle, and as I go, that force is going to do this to some degree. Right? Maybe not to 100%, to some degree. So you see my club moves in space. I moved this far out. Now, go ahead and turn left, but keep the club, no, turn your shoulders in. take your left arm with you when you go. Here, I'll do it. So, if I'm here, right, wait a second, youth. Okay, so I'm here and my club is that far away from me. Now, just hold on to it because that'll probably be easier. So we saw the force, right?
Yeah.
So my arm is this way. That's impact. I'm the same distance. I've created a differential in length here because of body positioning. But what that allows for is that force to take its effect and not have an effect on where the club's going to hit the ball. And that's why that rotation is so important.
Yeah.
Because go ahead and pull it out now. Now, if I don't turn to get the club back there, I have to make an affirmative movement. If the club's down there, I have to stand up.
Gotcha.
I have to create room because that force still exists. By golly, there will be a test. By golly.
All right, I'll do it now. I'm
Okay.
ready. I'm ready.
Your test?
Okay. I'm getting all nerdy today. My head hurts.
And so what can we do to practice this?
Mirror work.
Just mirror work. Okay.
Do we have a big mirror?
No.
Hey, you got a dressing mirror?
No.
You got a camera and a projector though.
Yeah. Yeah, just let that arm relax completely.
So it looks like he needs to bend over
There,
more.
there, just a hair, just a hair. There, perfect. Now one look, and then watch the ball get hit. Weird.
I don't like it.
So again, that means that instead of having to manipulate myself throughout a swing to make pure contact, I've set myself up initially to allow pure contact. And so if I don't achieve pure contact, I made a boo-boo, right? Because I've done everything I can do initially to aid in that end, right? So there's less compensation I have to make, which means I lower the amount of athleticism I need to get a desired result.
Yeah.
And let's face it. Yeah.
Peak male performance.
Peak male performance right here, buddy. It's kind of an easy way to go because we're all built different, right? So here I feel comfortable. If I can let go of this hand, totally relax that arm, and it goes right over here. So I've got a short iron, I'm balanced, and I'm here.
And that's your angle.
That's my angle. So if I had a driver, I'd be here. You say, well, when you do it there, now you're clapping hands. Yeah, that's the fact of life. A lot of people say, oh, I'm supposed to be able to do this. I'm supposed to be able to do this all the time. They take a driver and they go like this, right? Again, now I have to have different swings. But that really is, when we're talking about, we struggle walking up to a ball and hitting it with a club. It's different than the one we used 5 seconds ago. You see that on the range every day, all day. Guy sits up there, hits a few warm-up shots, he hits them bad. Then he says, well, now I start hitting good, right? He's hitting his pitching wedge because he's warming up. And then he gets where he's hitting that pitching wedge pretty darn good. Puts that away, grabs an 8-iron. First couple of shots with the 8-iron are kind of pee-pee cockeyed. But then he starts hitting it well. And that goes throughout the bag like that. That's because he's always behind a power curve on which club he's swinging. His brain's trying to swing the last one. If I have a setup, let me borrow your club. So this is a different club, different flex, different length, different grip, right? So the chances of me hitting it pure first time out, that affects timing and all like that. But I shouldn't miss the ball, right? I shouldn't like jack it up entirely if I'm correct. So I get here, kind of get there, say, okay, that looks pretty good. And then I make my swing. Because I'm always making the same swing. Right? If the geometry remains the same, the result remains the same. Could I have hit it more pure? Well, maybe, but that was pretty darn good. I'm proud of myself. So that's why we remove variables in setup. That's why setup is so very important. And when we say it's important, I mean like ballet important. Like I told you, I got a friend that was a professional ballet dancer. Yeah, I've been around the world, son. And he would be in the studio 10 hours a day sometimes. If he wasn't doing a performance, he was practicing or giving lessons. And I asked him, I said, about how much of your day, and this is the guy that performs professionally, how much of your day is spent on just the very basics, like position one, or position 5. I'm getting old. There we go. Right? Plie. Right? How much of your time spent on doing that? About 40%. 40% of a professional's day spent on the most basic things. Why? So that when he does the more complicated thing, and he has to flow from one to the other, he looks really good doing it.
Doesn't have to think about it.
Doesn't have to think about it. Because if I'm not truly balanced, right, and I make that first movement, everything beyond there is compromised.
So you're saying to get our swing is to hold it up.
Yeah, so
And then bow.
check,
And then
check,
bow.
you know, take
Yeah.
a slow club, take a small club, you know, short one. You just get here. Now, if you get here and you relax that arm, see where it is?
Yeah.
So I don't do this to fix it because remember, I need to be on my chest. What have I got to do?
Bend over more.
Bend over, right?
Okay. So left hand straight down, just more comfortable, and then bend to where it claps.
Yeah. We have to deal with the forces of the swing, the way that our body works. Again, there's a lot of fallacy out there. You know, a lot of guys say, oh, you got to do the one plane swing. Everything else too complicated. One plane. They say set up like this.
Am I keeping that left hand straight over my chest as well when I do that, or is that just the driver?
That's just a drive.
Okay.
So, but you know, there's things that have worked for one or two people, which are we consider them atypical because they are atypical, and they work, yes, for that person. But like that one, because there's a whole school of golf built off that. You know, the one plane swing, Mo Norman.
Mo Norman.
Yeah, and Mo Norman actually was kind of a savant. He did have some brain issues, but everybody says, oh, look at how he sets up, and he's the straightest guy ever, so I'm going to set up that way, and I'll be the straightest guy ever. Well, that's what they thought when they went from this to this, right?
From what?
From this, which
Oh,
is the
okay.
way everybody played golf till Varden
That was a
came
baseball
along.
swing.
And then, no,
Oh.
that was a baseball grip.
Baseball grip.
But then along came some guy named Varden, and he went like
Overlap.
that. So everybody said, oh, now that's all I got to do.
Yeah.
He's good. But what they forget to say is that in his time, Mo Norman was by far the shortest hitter in professional golf. I mean, he was absurdly short. Why? Because to swing like Mo means you swing slow.
Swing like Mo's to swing slow.
Yeah. So what we want to do, wait. Okay. So then when I got to swing down to the ball, it comes up here and goes, and the swing is very narrow. It exists in this space and it only goes back to that space because I'm upright. Right? So if on the other hand I get here and bend at the hip so that my chest and my club and everything are kind of like the same, now I make that same movement, club's way back here. I have depth, which means when I swing, now that club can approach from this direction and flatten out. So if I put it there and I stand up, this is a golf swing, not this. And that's why I say, you know, it's been found to be false when people my age, you say, don't baseball it. And then we found out through testing that a baseball player is using a golf swing. You know, remember back, I think I told you a story about Babe Ruth when they asked him, what's the difference between your golf swing and your baseball swing? He said, my golf swing, I hit a golf ball. Right? So if I'm here and my chest is pointed down, I go like this. It's very round. If I got a driver and I'm swinging around, it's even more round, right? But if I get up here and I swing up with a driver, it's way, way too narrow. And when the swing is too narrow in depth, what happens is the club is at the right level, pointed in the right direction, traveling in the right direction, a much shorter period of time than if it's coming around like this. If it's coming like this, it's like one and done. Whereas here, we're pretty darn good, perfect, pretty darn good, pretty darn good. Yep, just like that.
2 inches over.
Yep,
2 inches over again.
2 inches over again. Now hit it with some force. Do it. Feel that feeling. Good. Again. Good. Now can you swing 1 inch over? blade the ball. You're going to hit it right in the middle, right in the belly of the ball.
This side.
Aha! You feel that contact?
Yeah.
That's rotary enough. Let's look at that video. I have not got enough rotation in my torso. I got too much up and down in my field. It's called learning. So if I'm hitting behind the...
Depends with age, right? Dude, when you lose 15 pounds in 2 months, bro, it's like, you know what I mean?
What's the blue down there? Is that 200? I'm after that. Straight behind, baby. Nope. Dude, you're getting great contact.
I've been doing that. Been going to my face, got the pipe there. That's one pipe. Get a new driver? No, I'm using clips, new clubs. That's not me if I like them. I want to get a new set, but I want to try stuff before I buy a new set. Go to Golf Galaxy or whatever, and then go
Played against sports. Yeah. I got my brand new TaylorMade iron from 3 up to.
Hey, they have a bunch of stuff in here you can try.
Do they, right?
Yeah. There's a bag near the back,
Yeah.
just like a bunch of loose clubs. You can try them out.
Oh,
Bring
really?
them down here and play.
Yeah. So Walter and Kenny was saying.
Dude, all these, I'll be out there swinging all kinds of clubs. You know what I mean? You know whatever I want to do. That's how I find out.
I'll take Walter's Mavericks.
toe.
Okay.
That ain't him.
All right, so with the short club, our practice swing looks like this. Once we've taken aim, we just come back, hit the ground, hold our finish. We do no more than 2.
2, okay.
With the driver, we're going to swing about knee high, right? To get that flat feeling we need down here. Because remember, we're actually getting this tilt with our setup. With the iron, we're in what they call an I formation.
Yeah.
With the driver, we're in a K or reverse K formation. Right shoulder's up a little. And that allows that slight upswing to hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Move the ball
Yeah.
rather than this move.
Right.
And that's really what we all have to work on, because if I'm turning, right, instead of like that.
So that's a good warm up, is the holding the club like that.
Turn. 'Cause it's like when we're doing the L to L drill, we get here, we're always ready to turn. And so the club just goes like that. And we always start out slow. In fact, we can even turn it into a 2-stepper where we stop at that impact position, or excuse me, the follow through here, and then go
Okay.
like that.
And then where you did hold that club here and you did that motion of
Yeah,
twisting.
so we're just here making sure that we're turning.
So point the bottom of the club.
Yeah, you see my
Toward the
butt
ball.
stays back. Right, I'm trying to keep my head here. If I'm going like this,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna work.
So keep your head down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Right? Now, this 40 inches stays because it's in the same relationship with me, right? So that's 40 inches, that's 40 inches, that's 40 inches.
Yeah.
But now you see how far away from that I am,
Yeah.
right? So if I set up with the club directly behind the ball at the level of the ground, all things being equal, when I come back to impact, I'm going to be up here,
Okay.
right? So when I say the club doesn't have to be behind the ball, it's not even preferred that it is. What we do is we set it down like that to get our initial distance, and then I just set it in front of me.
Okay.
See where I'm at?
Yeah.
This kind of looks a little bit off the toe.
But then as you reach and swing, it'll.
Now when I swing, I'm going to come back at the level of the ball,
Okay.
right? So it's just that. Because I'm coming back at a point higher. In fact, a lot of people I found that do really good on striking the ball is they'll just get like this. They'll put the club up here, and then they kind of set their feet, and then they go, and they're right there.
Okay.
You see I've got a little tilt, And that's because my right hand is lower than my left. Ball's in the middle because that's where the bottom of my swing's going to be. Right? I hit it, set up with a driver. I'm going to center the ball between my feet here. And I'm going to leave this foot and I'm going to take my stance back here. Kind of set a little bit of a right angle kind of thing. Now, of course, the ball's farther away from me. And my hands are out instead of down because this position, if I have a little short club, makes my arms down. The exact same position, now I can clap. So I'm using the same geometry, I'm using the same swing, I'm just less bent over. I tilt my body to the right just a hair. And in the club face, this is actually a pretty good club. It doesn't have a lot of stuff on it. So when we ground the club, we don't want the back of the club off the ground.
We don't want it off
We
the ground.
don't want it off the ground. We want to put it on its kickstand right there. Because see, if I set up and get that little arrow pointed at my target,
It's
right?
closed.
So that looks square, right?
Yeah.
But remember, this top line is asymmetrical. It's designed for you to look at it wrong. So now we know what the static position for impact is. It's up here, right? So we look and we say, okay, that ain't right. Right? Now, if I look at the club, this is the actual center. You can see how close to the heel that is because they extended this line and they pulled it back to fool us. So what's the easy fix? Easy, put it on its kickstand. It looks like it's pointed about 15, 20 yards out to the right. I get here, I'm looking at the back of the ball. The club, I can see the entire face. And then I'm just gonna swing normal. So we get here, we take that look, and then we just give it a try. Oh, now why does it go out to the right?
You
You didn't
roll
point
your-
your
I didn't
shoulder.
roll my hands over, right? There's no question. So
You
I
didn't
say
roll
on the
your
next,
hands,
yeah,
okay.
so I say on the next one, okay, well, if that's all I did wrong, I was happy, I was balanced. Then I come over here and I say, okay, I just got to make sure I release the club. And then we give it a try, right? Everything's an experiment. Take that look, watch it get hit. Okay? Can't be hard.
It shan't be.
Yeah.
So as it's passing this point, I'm allowing myself to begin my weight shift. That means that now this energy gets thrown in the right direction. If I just get back here and kind of go there, now I'm static and I have to drag myself too much to get any energy out of this. But if it's going up and I go this way, then you see that it pulls that club forward, which is what we'd like. We'd like to take the slop out of the system. Okay. Now you got to really get it out there. Yeah. And so you'll notice that even there, when we did the mock throwing, we didn't go like this, right? We went hatchet, right? So when we just drag the club through here without the aid of the rotation, then that drag actually slows us down in many ways. What we want to do is we want to rotate at the same time. When we go to throw this, this stops You see how you get that whoosh?
Yeah. You're whipping it.
Right? Now if I go like this, I get one, but it's not as good as that. Right? And the earlier I can release that hip, then the bigger we get the release. You see, I actually pull that foot forward to get the hip up here. If you're young and flexible, you don't have to do that. Pull it forward, that is. But if I'm back here doing this, then I'm wrong. Just like in baseball, you see a lot of players who are not in the majors hitting a baseball with a lot of weight right here, big crease, right? And then you see a big hitter like Ohtani or something, he gets here, he goes like this, right? That foot's off the ground. And that's so we can brace off that and bring the body around into the shot. Now a baseball player, because he's swinging 30, 32 ounces this away, he's gonna go here and then back, because that bat's gonna bring him back. We're swinging on a little bit steeper plane. That's why we stay up here. Does that make sense? Okay, now that it makes sense, I have to do it.
It doesn't make sense.
Hit the ball long and straight. I have to hit the middle of the club. I can't be wandering around the club. So if I lower the energy level, and in this case, I have less weight. That's how I do it. And if I stood here and went like this, hitting that thing until I could hit it every time. I'm hitting it every time, right? Well, that's a low energy environment. But I get to where I'm successful in a low energy environment. And then I say, oh, I'm gonna go play golf, I gotta swing that slow? No. Now you challenge yourself. So once I'm able to do it in a low energy environment, I increase the energy level until I'm successful the same as I was then. And I work my way up and I work my way up and I work my way up. Eventually, if I'm working on the railroad, I got that big hammer that weighs like 9 pounds, but it's only this big around. Looks like this.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there, 2 men hitting
After each
spikes
other.
on the ground, right? Boom. Boom. And they're swinging away, and they're not missing at all.
Yeah.
It's because they've done it so much so that they become efficient to where they get to the point where now they can just go after it, and the brains you don't have to micromanage anything.
Yeah.
It's just happening. There's different levels. You know, we talk about a beginner in anything, he's down here. He has no experience and no knowledge. He gets knowledge, but he doesn't improve with knowledge. He has to practice. Knowledge comes before practice. Once I have knowledge and practice, I improve. Now I'm an intermediate. I might need some more knowledge. I might, depending on the task, but I do need more practice. Now I'm a journeyman. Now I can go out and perform that rather well without instruction and without anybody telling me what I have to do. Now I might need more knowledge, but I must have more practice, and I become a master. Right now, I can tell other people intelligently how to perform the tasks that I'm very good at, because I've got just enough knowledge to back up the practice. And then we have this place where we'd all like to get to, and we can. It involves more practice. We have all the knowledge we need as a master of any task. But to be truly good at that task, I have to go to what we call overlearning. Overlearning is a point in production where now you don't think anymore. It's not something you do. The action is not something you do, it's just something you are. And when we reach that point, we can be so precise and so good at whatever task we're performing that it seems like it's inhuman. Case in point, Tiger Woods. Does it mean that every shot that Tiger Woods ever hit, once he reached that level of precision, was perfect? No. But what it did mean was that he was so very good that when he did get himself into trouble, he was superior to others getting out of it, right? And so that's knowledge. Knowledge is required. Sometimes a little depending on the task, sometimes a lot depending on the task. If I want to just hit a ball solidly going that way, I need a square club face and I need a complete motion with concentration. That's not a bunch of knowledge. But to get it to happen, I have to have lots and lots of practice. If I want to begin to shape shots, I need some knowledge. But it doesn't help if I have that knowledge and I don't practice. So when people say I practice, you can practice the act at home without hitting golf balls, right? I can sit there and do this, right? Get that release perfect. And then when I go to the range, I know what it feels like and I'm able to capture it.
Yeah.
But if I say, yeah, I've got to do this when I go to the range, and then I don't do it until I go to the range, and I don't go to the range until next Thursday,
Right.
right? Then I'm not putting in the reps, right? It's the secret to a happy marriage. You got to put in the reps every day, because strange enough, girls don't have good memories. The good memory, yeah, the good memory they have is all centered around the bad things you do.
Hey.
So you got to give them enough good memories to cover up some of those bad memories. You ever heard the phrase, forgive my language, one shit takes away 10 attaboys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're going to 10 attaboys.
yeah.
So
So
take away that.
that's what I'm over here somewhere. That's improper use. Okay, I always talk about keeping the hands here at that point in the swing. Well, you'll see that my left arm is right there, almost to the inside of my elbow, almost to my sternum. Okay, so when we do that L to L, it looks like this, right? And it just sits right there. Now, we want to turn enough so that we can release the club fully. So now I'm here, I take a look at my shot, I give it a try. Oh, that was something. See, I'm right over there. That's the position we want to get to in our L to L. Okay? If I'm over here, I observe it, I fix it, and then I go back and try again. Okay? Literally, the thing that throws this club head with a lot of speed is when that left arm stops relative to the rest, and it goes like that. And regardless of what the internet says, we have to release the club. If it's good enough for Jack Nicklaus, it's good enough for me. So here we go.